So here we are, chapter 5, chakra 5, moving up from our anahata and moving into the throat space, the throat chakra, known as Vishuddha, which means especially pure in Sanskrit. So it is located at our throat. Its symbol is the lotus with 16 petals. Its color is a light blue. Its element is ether, or otherwise known as Akasha. Its mantra sound is hum. So hum, hum, hum is the vibrational frequency of this chakra point. Its location, as I said before, is the throat, so also the neck and the thyroid glands, and it is responsible for communication. So it's not just communication to others, like the way that we speak, but it's also communication to ourselves. And Vishuddha, meaning especially pure, it's where we start to notice how we communicate and why we communicate, and the content of that communication, whether or not it is true and authentic, or whether or not it is manipulative or full of lies or untruths. So we really start to, as we move up, explore more so this concept of authenticity and what it means to live in a really aligned way. So if this space is overactive, as in I am over communicating, then that's exactly what it means. I may be an over communicator. I don't know how to stop and listen. I feel very uncomfortable with silence. I always want to talk over people, or I always kind of want to overshare because I have too much going on in this space. It can also mean that I am privy to gossiping, and I may find myself in situations where I am, either around or intrigued by gossip, or I want to gossip myself, or I will, not realize it or realize it and be sharing other people's secrets when I shouldn't be. So it's like I have no cut off around this area. And it can also lead to me being very much like a know-it-all. So I'm sharing too much, and that can be perceived as me being arrogant or condescending, or maybe I think that I know better, or I can communicate better, and so I come across as being really rude and really not allowing other people to share their thoughts and opinions or use their own voice. So that's if it's overreactive. If it is underreactive, then obviously it's the complete opposite. I may feel physically blocked in this area. Communication is a real struggle for me. I am a passive communicator. I maybe am very timid in my behavior, but my voice might also be really soft and really silent, and I find it really hard to speak up and to project my voice. I find that really intimidating, for example, and I don't want to use my voice. Using my voice can make me feel emotional, and I feel very scared about doing it, and I often feel overwhelmed when I have to use my voice. So I also will question my own ideas all the time, and because of that feel very insecure when sharing my voice with others. So obviously if I have a balanced throat chakra, then I am really good at communicating. I have a healthy, assertive communication style, and that means that I can listen to other people and hold space for them, but I also feel confident enough to be able to communicate how I feel or what I think in a way that is not manipulative or aggressive. So I'm able to agree to disagree. I feel confident in sharing my voice. I feel like I can speak up about things that mean something to me, but at the same time I also recognize and respect that other people have their own voice and their own opinions too, and that that's perfectly okay. So it's a real balance of this area. I also am very honest. So I will be very honest with myself and what I'm feeling. I will be very honest with others and what I'm feeling about those situations. I can really communicate the things that are on my mind. I'm able to communicate my boundaries, for example. I'm able to communicate my likes and dislikes. So remembering that a lot of the stuff that happens up until this point is like understanding and self-awareness, right? I'm learning about my foundations, my beliefs, my values. I'm learning about how to regulate my emotions. I'm learning about, you know, my self-confidence, my drive, like what I want in life, action, power, all of those types of things. I'm learning about compassion and openness and vulnerability. So I've got all of this self-awareness happening within my body, and then this here is my opportunity to speak it. It's my opportunity to express it. It's what can actually turn all of this stuff into reality, because we are humans, and our primary form of creating relationships and making things happen is through communication. So we need to learn to use our voice in a healthy way, which enables us to live a life which is in alignment to us. Otherwise, all of this self-awareness work gets to here and then it gets stuck, and then it doesn't become anything. We can't say what we mean. We can't say it to other people, and we can't admit it to ourselves. So it's a really, I find that this is a space and a chakra point which affects so many of my clients. And it is something that once it is unblocked, or once it is more balanced, it is such a relief, because you start to see things happening in your life, because you're finally able to talk about them, or to request them, or to want them. So the physical symptoms of an imbalanced Vishuddha can be thyroid issues. It can be anything to do with like your throat, so reoccurring sore throat, having issues with your like nodules in your throat, reoccurring tonsillitis, sore neck and upper shoulder pain, so like this whole area here being really tight and really constricted. Also shoulders up to ears, that real like protection of that space and closing of that space can be a physical way that we may hold our posture and hold our body. And then it also kind of goes up to our ears, so reoccurring ear infections and jaw tightness and all of this stuff can also be a physical ailment or symptom of an imbalanced throat chakra. So balancing out this space of our body. If it is overactive, then I would highly encourage to practice silence and to practice listening. So it could even mean, if you have it available to you, to book into a silent retreat and see how you find that experience. You could do it for a day, you could do it for a few days, you could do it for a week, and try to practice just quieting the voice. No voice. Listen. Listening is such an important part of communication. So stopping, listening, hearing what is being said, and then responding rather than speaking over and reacting. So definitely silence is a great way to try to balance out an overactive throat chakra. If it is underactive, then experimenting with using your voice. So this could be engaging with a therapist and going through talk therapy. So talk therapy is a way for you to safely explore your emotions and feelings, all of the self-awareness stuff, with somebody else, so that you can learn to speak what you're feeling. So it's like, oh, I feel like this, I don't know how to say it in words. Therapy is a great space for you to be able to practice that, so that out there in the world, you then have the tools and the abilities to do that. Even practicing this with a close friend or family member. So, you know, experimenting with saying how you feel, or expressing your opinion on something, and, you know, seeing what the reaction is, and just gauging it, like trying to use your voice as much as you can. Using your voice can also be in the form of listening to music and singing. So just like warming up that part of your body, and like being able to use it and recognize that it's there to be used. When it comes to nature, so ether is like the gases and the clouds above the clouds, and it's being up high, you know, being in that space of complete, like moving up towards the cosmos and moving up towards the layer of the atmosphere away from Earth. So anything where you feel really like expanded expansive, like ether. Like it could be being in the middle of a big field, but it could also mean standing, you know, being on at a rooftop restaurant and like being out in that big open space. It could be, you know, traveling and being up in a plane and being amongst the clouds. Like that type of like just expansion of ether and air in that way can be really helpful. Climbing to the top of a mountain, just being up in that type of space. And then yoga poses is obviously like things which engage the shoulder and the neck, things like plow pose, doing your neck rolls, doing your bridge pose, and then anything that is like bhakti focused yoga. So bhakti is the yoga of devotion, and with bhakti yoga comes mantra and singing and sound and music. So if you find that you're really blocked in this area, I would highly encourage you to just go to a few yoga classes that incorporate music and incorporate mantra, and join in on it. You know, like try to use your voice and be around that to once again activate that area. So I hope you found this interesting. This whole module or this whole chapter is super fascinating because it's all around communication, and I love teaching about communication. I've experienced both, you know, sides of feeling like I have no voice to feeling like, you know, maybe I use my voice too much, to now finding, you know, quite a happy balance with the way that I communicate with myself and other people. So I'm really interested to hear your feedback. Download the worksheet, do the journal questions before you move on to the next lesson, and I will see you there.